You are now entering Odyssey Station. Please remain seated until docking is complete. Odyssey, dare to wonder. You are now entering Odyssey Station. Please remain seated until docking is complete. Odyssey, dare to wonder.
And welcome back to another episode of Doctor Who Audiophiles, episode number 1. There was another episode, but it wasn't a number. It's number 1. I'm your host, Jarrod, and with me, as always, is a wonderful Vagabond crew. Miss Dannie.
Hello.
Mark Baumgarten from RQ42.
Hey.
And also joining us for episode 1, Miss Tina Womack. Tina, how are you?
I'm good.
So, in the episode 0 that aired before this, people heard all about Jarrod, they heard all about Mark, they heard all about Dannie. It's time for them to hear all about you. Give us a brief synopsis of your fandom background. What brought you here?
My fandom background. Well, I wasn't really into any, sci-fi or anything like that, really, until a few years ago. And then now I'm just all in. I watch all the Star Treks, except for the original series. I can't get into that one.
Mm-hmm.
I like Doctor Who, all of the new Doctors.
Mm-hmm.
Again, can't get into the older ones.
Okay.
I know.
I'm also new Doctors. I tried the old ones. Oops.
I'm into just a bunch of random stuff, I guess.
And you know what? That's fine. And in many ways, I envy you because you have all of these worlds that are fresh and new to you, and you're going to go on all these journeys for the first time. So in many ways, I envy you because that's very exciting. So
it really is.
So since we are a Doctor Who audio show, we're going to talk. Who's some of your favorite Doctors right now from the Doctor Who universe?
I really like Chris Eccleston. They say your first Doctor is your favorite or whatever. Or maybe that's just something I've heard.
Yep.
But
it's true.
I really like him a lot.
I agree.
And then I really loved Capaldi. And Joni Whittaker, I haven't been able to watch I haven't been able to watch many of her episodes just because I don't have access to them. But the ones I saw, I really loved.
Right. And it's really nice with Capaldi, too, because Capaldi is, in many ways, a classic series Doctor thrust into the new series universe.
Yes.
And the way his storytelling is set up. Jodie's the same way. Jodie, we just had season 1 with her. She's finding her way very nicely. Eccleston, I loved Eccleston. Dannie really loves Eccleston.
She wants to be saved by Eccleston.
I know. So in love. So in love. I watch anything he thought, including Thor 2. I own that movie. I've never seen it again, but I own it.
Did you see a Price Above Rubies?
I have not.
There's something. I'm not sure that's the exact right title, but he looks all right in that movie.
Awesome. So, yeah, that thing that you said about your first Doctor being your favorite, that's true. A lot of people, their first Doctor is their Doctor. It's the one that they grew up with, the one they fell in love with.
Right.
In the new series, Eccleston is still to this day one of my favorites that's come out of the new series. It's awesome. Eccleston and Tennant, I think, are my 2 favorites. Jodie's easily a 3rd for me. I know that might be scandalous, but
what about Capaldi? Capaldi's great.
I love Capaldi too.
We will have a detailed conversation about Capaldi.
Okay.
So let's get to some Doctor Who audio news from this week.
Okay.
From the BBC side of things, we had not really much coming out. They've released the latest of the Nest Cottage adventures,
Yeah.
Narrated by Miss Whibsy. For those of you that are Tom Baker fans and really liked the Hornet's Nest, Dragon Quest, Demon Quest, those box sets, there's another standalone audio adventure for that that got released, which is narrated by Mrs. Whibsy herself, which is good. Over on the Big Finish side, we've had a couple of releases this past week, which are really good. We had just today a new Torchwood release.
Yes, with Katie Manning and Captain Jack, John Barrowman.
Called The Green Life. That is a sequel to the audio story The Green Death.
Do you see a pattern going here? Because the first one in the new series had the Fendel in it, and this one has Joe, and I haven't been looking ahead, but I'm just thinking they're going with, because it's the 20th anniversary of the Doctor Who and
that is exactly what it is. It's a series. They're doing a series of 4. I believe the next one is going to be Susie Costello and some Slovene.
Oh.
And then you get Reese with some Autons.
Oh, wow. Well, okay. Unit's done Autons, and so is New Who. But yeah, that's cool.
Where's Yanto?
Very cool.
All I want is Yanto.
Yanto. Oh, yeah. Yes. Well, Gareth David Lloyd is a great guy.
Yep, he's in real life. He's a dear friend of mine, and he'll be on this show soon. But
cool.
That was it. And then also we saw a new release, a second Doctor release, companion chronicle style, called The Year of the Drex Olympics, all about him learning Venusian Aikido. It's Fraser Hines doing his second Doctor impression. That's all it is. That man does that better than anybody else. I remember the Dannie Cortina, when the first time I heard Fraser do his Patrick Troughton impression, I nearly crashed my car.
I mean, like the lady with the spider. You saw a spider and then you just went, ah! And it was a doctor.
Right.
Yeah. Earlier this month, Big Finish on the main range put out their 250th.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's called The Monsters of Gokroth, and it has Jessica Martin as Mags from Greatest Show in the Galaxy. And the one thing that I have only one problem with it. It doesn't feel like the 250th episode. Because like the 50th, they had Zagreus, 100, they had 100. There was recorded time. There was, they always do special ones. And this feels like it's a regular release.
Right.
Even though it's a little special because Jessica Martin, who's a friend of mine, is in it as Mags. But I know that you had a problem with it, Jarrod.
Yeah, we will do an episode on this story in the future, but I listened to it the day it came out because I was a great Sylvester McCoy fan growing up. I love the Greatest Show in the Galaxy. And the fact that this character was coming back and was going to be a companion, it was going to be really good because Big Finish has done a lot of good things with that, with these little side characters and reintroducing them and giving them new life.
Yeah.
And the problem I had was it was too dark. It was darkness on top of darkness on top of darkness. And we will get into more of that later. I know that was her character and they were trying to do a Universal Monsters feel to the story, but it just didn't do it for me at all.
It kind of worked for me because I thought the darkness on darkness was important, but I was hoping that they do like a bookend of 2 dark stories because she's a punk werewolf, so you need dark stories. I was hoping the second story was going to be lighthearted, and in fact, it's not. But the third story with Ace in it too looks like it could be a little humorous.
I hope so, because when you have dark characters, that's their thing. They're dark. That's what makes them cool. When you put a dark character in the middle of a dark story and surround them with other dark characters, there's nothing special about them.
All right, we agree to disagree. I mean, because I do know what you're saying, and I totally get what you're saying, but I thought it needed a dark story to start it out. Having 2 dark stories in a row That's
we'll
a problem.
and we'll talk about this more later on in the show as this podcast continues. But moving on, are we any other news? Audio? Oh, Cortina, I'll ask you this: what has been your experience with audio stories in the past?
I really have a hard time with just audio and no visual, so it's hard for me to focus. But if I sit down and like really pay attention, that's the only way I can get it. So I have not listened to a lot of audio stuff.
Right.
I've actually found it easier to listen to the audios while I'm in the car.
Yes.
In my house. Because when I first started, especially with this one, because I think I'm the same way. When I first started saying, we're going to do this, I was like, ooh, do they have a book too that I could read along with or I could look at? And because I tried to start listening in the house and I was doing stuff and I went, this is not working. But in the car, it was totally different. And it was so much interesting.
And wasn't it kind of like you were watching TV, but you just weren't looking at the picture?
I don't know. I think maybe it's because of the surround sound in the car.
Yeah.
That made it more like, you know what I mean? Like, even though I was driving and I'm looking at everything else, I found that I was really paying
attention.
And I was paying attention to it more so than when I tried to do it just in the house or, if I just put some earbuds in and just stared out at the wall.
Just don't wind up in the wrong location when you're done driving, because that's a bad thing with the audios.
Yeah, that's how I used to listen to The Seventh Rule in the car, because before I could watch the videos, I could only listen to the audio, and it's way easier in the car.
Cool. Jarrod, Big Finish, 20 years, 21 years, because you got to figure in Benny. But I mean, it's been a long time. And, that wasn't the beginning of the audios, because they had the audio visuals.
The first one that I really say is
televisual.
The first Doctor Who audio would have been the Pescatons back in the 70s.
Yes, with Tom Baker.
I want to say there was one that was earlier that was just like an audio annual type thing, but it didn't get a very wide release. The first real it was the Doctor Who annual thing that I'm thinking about came from around the Hartnell Troughton era.
Yeah.
It was nothing more than them reading the stories. So when I think about audios at this point, I'm thinking about stories that are created for audio.
Yeah.
And that would have been the Pescatons. Then you go back up into the 80s and you get Slipback and
Slipback, definitely.
The Ghosts of In Space, the Paradise of Death. You get all that.
Did you have the record album of Genesis of the Daleks?
I used to.
I used to too. I was a good audio as well as a video.
Looking forward at things we have coming out soon from Big Finish as to what, for people that are interested at all. There's more Unit coming up.
Mm-hmm.
That is some news that I want to talk to you ladies about that's really interesting, and get your thoughts on this. You both know the character of River Song, correct?
Love her. Spoiler.
Tina, what's your thoughts on River?
My thoughts on River Song? She's like my favorite.
Well, they have. We've talked about this before. They have given her own range at Big Finish, and since River goes in and out of the Doctor's timeline, she pops in and out. On the audios, she can go all the way back and all the way forward. So
I think it'll be exciting.
Yeah, they're doing some audios with her all the way
out next week. It's coming out is it this week?
No, it just got announced. So it'll be later.
Just got announced.
The one that I'm talking about is coming out later, where she's going and visiting the first Doctor.
Oh.
And Jago and Lightfoot and all that. So we're going to have fun with that character. So if you like River Song, she's coming. We've just got some stuff to get through before we get to her. So, because
isn't there a Unit release? Maybe it was this weekend, and it has two-parter with River Song. Yeah, that's going to be, I can't wait to get that.
Yep. and there's a couple things we need to listen to before we get there. But yes, I know there was a release like that.
See, I'm going to always listen ahead of what we're listening to on this show because I can't miss anything.
When I was working on the schedule this week, I took a lot of things into account. You know, the classic series, the new series. People like the new, people like the old, etc. Yeah. So like next week we've got a new series audio that we're doing, and then after that, Danny will be excited. There's a Torchwood.
Yeah. Captain Jack, you're such a dreamboat. After Yonto.
He's such a whore. John Barrowman is such a whore.
That's all right.
Can I say that on TV or radio or whatever?
Sure. You know what though? Pimpin' ain't easy, and neither is hoeing.
You're right. You're absolutely right, and I have respect for John Barrowman, and that's important.
Oh my gosh. The man, the myth, the legend, the crazy. I love it all. But I do have a question, Tina, that I was asked last week by the guys about starting in an audio. Did you find it difficult, like starting in an audio, not knowing about this doctor? Like as we both tend to do the newer doctors, did you find any difficulties in knowing who he was or understand, like, you know, when you were thinking of the story, or were you nervous about jumping into a story about a doctor that you weren't quite familiar with?
No, yeah, I can't even picture him in my head. I don't know anything. I don't know what's going on. I don't know the characters or anything.
All right.
And it's really interesting. You get that's a Doctor Who thing, because you write the Doctor. There are things that the character of the Doctor would do,
Right?
You get specific incarnations that embellish that a little bit. And you hit it on a nail on the head, Danny. Is that one of the things we'll look at is picking stories that feel like this Doctor or don't feel like that Doctor, etc.
Awesome. So that's what I figured. As someone else, I'm like, yay, Team Novice. We got this.
Novice.
Got this.
All right, because I mean, Colin Baker is one of my favorites. Old 60.
Mm-hmm.
I know. See, and then
did I spoil the review? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
For our next one, so if we end up with another Doctor that the two of us haven't gone through, so just like, you know, with maybe our listeners before, maybe then we can have a little bit of a talk about, you know, the Doctor that we are talking about, so that people understand, like, you know, hey, this is the actor who played it, you know, what he was kind of known for. You know, it doesn't have to be like completely in depth, but just so to give like that nice little spark. Because remember, there's a lot of newbies like myself.
That's true. That's
Tina,
true.
so I think that'd be really fun for our listeners. And listeners, if you agree, make sure tweet or send us messages on what you would like to know about maybe some of the characters before we start on our next audios, as well as we tell you about our audios.
Yep.
Smart. That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
And
actually, Jarrod, do you want to talk a little about Colin? Might as well.
Well, Colin, it's really funny. You're sitting here talking about not having a visual for him. In many ways, that might be a plus. Because Cortina, if you go and Google a picture of Colin Baker as the Doctor, he wasn't given the best wardrobe out there.
No.
Think like Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat and slap a wig on him, and that's about what you got.
Is that the one with the celery?
No, it's the one after the celery.
Oh gosh.
He's like really colorful.
Yes.
I was because I was a little bit confused because I went, Colin Baker versus there was two Bakers. He's the one with the question marks, like Osgood.
Right.
He has a cat. He has a little a
cat
on his.
But there was
but he has question marks as well, like Osgood.
Yeah, but Davis and McCoy dropped the question marks, but Baker and Davison both had question marks.
And Tom Baker had question marks in the final season too. You know, John Nathan Turner loved question marks. What can I say?
It gets back to them not changing clothes. The Doctor didn't change his shirt for 3 lines. There's some nastiness going on.
You know what? I always kind of thought about that because, I mean, later on, like a couple of them, they did kind of change a little bit, but they literally wore almost the same thing every day.
Mhm.
And their companions didn't really wear the same. They had to stink after a while.
Yeah. Well, you know, Colin in the audio adventures, he sometimes wore a blue cloak, a blue. So you know, which
You know it's
I've
bad.
seen pictures of him, and I've seen pictures drawn of it, and it's a much better outfit than
You
the
know
one
it's
he wore.
bad when they have to change your wardrobe in audio.
Yeah, pretty much.
We're like, we're not even seeing you, and we got to change your clothes. It's so bad. But Colin Baker, when at the time that I touched on this some last week. I'm not speaking ill of Colin Baker. He's a great man, but in many ways, he got kind of the short shaft when it came to stories, and he kind of took the brunt for it. If you go back and look at Doctor Who magazine, every year they do this annual, who's your favorite doctor, who's your favorite companion, blah, 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 blah. And Colin was down there with Pertwee and Hartnell and Troughton and these people that had been dead for 10 years and nobody remembered what they looked like. He was down there. It was only when these audios started coming out that people figured out how to write for his doctor and give him good stories. That his popularity, he went from being zero to hero just like that, to quote Hercules. I mean, he went from nothing to number one thanks to the audios, because they gave him some brilliant things, and he has a brilliant companion coming up that you guys haven't met yet, but you'll be meeting soon, which is really fun. There's Big Finish introduces audio-only companions. The companions from the story we listened to this week, Melanie, she was in some ways a transitory companion, because she showed up towards the end of Colin and didn't really do anything, and she was there at the beginning of McCoy and didn't really do anything, and
they never really met for the first time on TV.
Yeah, she just sort of showed up, and then she was there, and then she said, "Oh, there's a real
There's a Carter. Can I come inside?"
No, Danny.
No. Okay.
No, it's literally they pick her up at a point. Oh yeah, I met the doctor before, and we've been traveling for a while. That's the intro you get. You don't know where. Yeah, she just sort of shows up. Oh yeah, I've been here for a little bit. Okay.
Episode 9 of Trial of a Time Lord.
I was like, I'm looking at pictures of him. He was kind of handsome with all his little curly hair.
Wasn't he? Yeah, he still is. He's not bad.
Okay, are you Googling him right now, Danny?
I'm looking at him right now because I knew he was the colorful one. But
Danny.
Yeah.
Go into the Google. Go into the search bar.
Into the Google. All right.
Search for the words Colin Baker porn stash.
Oh God.
Oh, are you serious? Are you making her do that?
Oh, I am. I'm doing it right now.
All right.
Oh my gosh.
There's a picture.
Oh God.
Did you turn the safe search off?
There's a picture for you.
Wow.
Hey, David Tennant and Matt Smith have also been naked on film and on stage, so...
Oh, no, it's just the mustache.
Oh, it's just the mustache.
I know, but I'm just trying to make them feel better. I don't know.
Oh, no, I was enjoying it. I was like, hey, I love 70s porn stashes. They're like... That
was on the show The Brothers, right? Yeah. He played... He was the bad guy on Brothers. He was famous for it. He was on, I think, for 4 of the 6 seasons or something.
Yep.
And then when he was picked to be Doctor Who, people were like, oh, the guy from Brothers on Doctor Who? That can't be.
Well,
he looked like such a baby face. They shaved off his stash, and then he looked like Babyface McGee for a hot moment. And got kind of old looking over here.
Well, while we're recovering from Babyface porn stashes and Brothers and all that stuff, we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back to dive into our actual review of this story right here on Doctor Who Audiophiles.
Odyssey, Dare to Wonder. Odyssey, Dare to Wonder.
Welcome back to Doctor Who Audiophiles. I'm your host, Jarrod. Mark's still here.
Hey!
Dannie's still here.
And I'm sober.
Tina is here wondering what she's gotten herself into.
Basically.
So we are here to talk about our first audio that we are going to review on this show. And I wanted something that was a good intro. Went with something classic, a really popular release from way back in the day. Colin
December
Baker,
2001, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Colin Baker's The One Doctor. Now, back then in December of every year, they decided to do an audio that was like not really Christmassy, but lighter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what this audio was. Going round robin, starting with Dannie. What did you think of The One Doctor with Colin Baker?
It was super fun. It was kind of like, it reminded me of some like the really kind of fun, goofy ones with like Matt Smith.
Yep.
Like where it was like, no, I mean, where you had like, you know, where you had the more, I would say Eccleston, and like a lot of times, sometimes with Tennant, they would be kind of serious. I mean, Tennant would have some really fun ones as well. Matt Smith to me had a lot more like goofy fun ones. And it was kind of like one of those classic goofy fun ones, more so than a super serious one. So I liked it. It was fun. I really, really liked Mel. I thought she was cool.
Really?
I liked
Wow. She liked Mel. Wow, everybody. She liked Mel.
Right.
All right.
No.
In the TV series, a lot of people didn't like
Mel
Mel.
gets
She's
a lot
great
of
in the
fun.
audio. She's great. Bonnie Langford is a great actress. She was on EastEnders. Love her.
I thought she was a really strong female character where like Banto every time was like, "Can I hold your hand?" And she's like, "Oh my God, here." She's okay, let go now. You want to play? I found her, and I didn't find her to be either like a nursemaid to the Doctor or like second fiddle. She was like her own. She seemed like she should be on Torchwood, where she was just her own person, and she was just ready. All right, you're team A and we're team B, fine, or we can switch around. And she was just ready to go. That's what I got from it.
You are probably the first person on the planet that has ever said Mel needs to be on Torchwood.
Yeah, I felt like I was like, no. Well, remember, I've also didn't see her on TV.
That's true. You
someone
didn't see her.
See, that's what's really interesting with this, bringing you guys newbies to hear these new perspectives. Tina, the Doctor Who, The One Doctor. What did you think?
I really just can't with this Doctor. Like it's probably because it's audio and they need their voices to be more expressive, but it was a lot. It was a lot for me.
A lot in what way? Like
I don't want to say overacting, but I'm thinking it.
Okay.
It was it was really
it's like they were trying too hard at times.
Right.
I can get that.
I don't know if it was the writing or if it was the characters, because it seemed like they were all that way, but it was just a lot for me. It was like over the top.
Now, both of you are coming from the new series.
Mm-hmm, right.
Mark, hang on. I just got to stop Mark for a second. Mark, what did you think?
Well, I liked it. It started with a scam. Then we got to go to IKEA and watch The Week Asleep. And then finally, we got to take an excursion to Little Britain. I enjoyed that. I thought it was a good story with those 4 parts. No, but seriously, I liked the episode. I thought it was very funny. The fact that the Doctor and Sally Ann are in absolutely no jeopardy
At all.
for most of episode 2 and 3. And I just loved it.
So I want to ask Tina and Danny, because you guys both came from the new series.
Mm-hmm.
The new series has a different episode structure, a different pacing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times when the TARDIS lands in the new series, the TARDIS lands right in the middle of what would have been episode 2 of the classic series.
Yes.
So the classic series story structure is slower.
Yes.
Did this story work for you, or was it too slow?
It was certainly too slow.
It wasn't too slow, but I could have sped some things up. Like I felt like, but that's the same thing as, just Star Trek Discovery. Like when we see certain things and we're like, all right, wrap it up. You're all saying goodbye. Wrap it up. And that's a newer series too. And I think it goes with that since it's a radio play and they're trying to play for dramatic effect, that sometimes it would be like, okay, yeah, all right, we got this. All right, moving on. But most of the time it was with, for me, it was with Banto. A lot of the stuff with him, I felt like a good eighth of his conversation could have been cut off.
Right.
Like it was just unnecessary things, I think, that didn't move the story further.
Well, the opening lines, you start to think, oh no, the Doctor's turning into the Valeyard, which you guys probably have no idea who I'm talking about. But the classic Who people know what I'm talking about.
The maniacal Monopoly game.
Yeah, I thought that was hysterical.
But it's hysterical. It's funny, but when that's the first thing you listen to, you're like, eh. But I understand it. They were trying to They were trying to look for something different on the classic. Look, the Doctor and the Companion are in the TARDIS opening shot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was. It's 2001, so it's still not. The Doctor. They wouldn't have all these newfangled things that we all use now, even though it's the turn of the 2000s. But so the Monopoly part didn't really bother me or anything, but it was a very strange opening of the two of them.
Now, I picked this story very specifically, other than the fact that it's one of my absolute favorite Big Finish audios of all time. But there's a lot of new series connections and references here. A lot of things that are followed up in the new series.
Yes.
I have one.
Go for it.
Danny,
the Weakest Link.
The Weakest Link?
The lady from The Weakest Link, because the whole time I was like, I just wanted her to go. When she finally went, it is done. Goodbye. And I went, ha! Did they do that? Is it in with the
Bad Wolf and Parting of the Ways?
Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, this lady's everywhere. And then I when I had to look, I didn't realize she was the queen as well. Mm-hmm. Like, because it said she was the presenter and stuff. Yep. And then also the Jelloid. The
Jelloid, that's the big
Matt
thing.
Lucas.
The Jelloid being Matt Lucas. And that's Nardo.
Yeah.
Nardo, which is funny because I can't stand Nardo.
That's the thing. A lot of you'll see some of the new series writers and in this case an actor playing a part. Tina, what did you think about? Was there anything that stood out for you, like reference wise for the new series?
I didn't notice anything.
I have something that you should have noticed. Mm-hmm. The Doctor snogging Sally Ann.
Oh.
There's a lot of Time Lord kissing and
but it hurt
misunderstanding.
Until you guys said that last week and we were having this discussion, I don't know if it was on air or off, I didn't know that the Doctor didn't kiss anybody.
No.
I would have never known that. Because Eccleston he kissed Rose too. Everybody's kissing everybody up in here. All the stuff.
Kissing doctors.
Yeah.
And then
10th Doctor.
And then when Sally Ann
Howard a queen, apparently.
This was funny. I thought this was really funny. Sally Ann, first, so Sally Ann is checking to see that the Doctor has two hearts, and it's not for 3 minutes of dialogue before he says, "Oh, you can remove your hands." So she's holding onto his chest for 3 minutes.
This is supposed to be when he's still like, curly toe hair, sexy doctor, right?
He's 60. She kept calling him sexy, and then at the end she calls him 60, so that brings that into canon.
So the producer and one of the directors of this story is Gary Russell, who went on to be script editor for Doctor Who and the Sarah Jane Adventures for a while.
Yeah.
And he was really involved with Torchwood and all that. The one big connection that you guys didn't put is the entire plot is an inspiration for the next Doctor with David Tennant.
Yeah.
The Doctor shows up and the Doctor has already saved us, but I'm the Doctor, it's not me, who is it? That is the same basic plot and setup for the next Doctor.
It is.
Yeah.
And the title, The One Doctor, I found interesting because, every time there's a multi-doctor story in the classic series, you have the 2 doctors, the 3 doctors, the 5 doctors. And so this one was like a multi-doctor scam. So The One Doctor is a perfect title. And then at the very end, he says there's only room for one doctor anyway.
And
does he ever save Banto at the end?
This-
in another story?
This story has not had the sequel that it is screaming for.
Oh, okay.
He
I
has
was
to
just
save
wondering.
Banto. Totally.
You gotta save Banto. I mean, he's big and all, but
And if you
timey-wimey, saving Banto is what causes the cylinder to go after the Doctor. That's how they should have written it. They should have, him meeting the race is what causes them to go get him in the One Doctor. It would have been perfect.
And one of the things that, as we're continuing our spoiler-filled review of this.
Oh, it's spoiler-filled, folks.
Oops, sorry.
I'm just going to get to it, and this is things on audio. At the end of this story, you're listening to it, and there's kisses and fireworks and everything else. But I think it's Mel is right, who is sitting there saying, Sally Ann is running off with money that was rightfully stolen from these people. Not to mention, an entire planet blew up and killed how many people? But that's all swept away. These tens of thousands of people are dead, but we're fine. It's a happy, smiley fireworks story.
Was that the 11th planet? I think.
Yeah,
I think it was uninhabited, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought it was uninhabited.
It's
I thought they did say that.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't blow up a planet.
It'll still mess up your solar system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It still causes and no one there's no consequences. What the heck?
But had they not done it, the Jelloid may not have given the diamond.
Right.
Had they not done it, because the Jelloid was paying attention to all that was going on in the system, and so had the planet not been blown up, he may not have trusted him, even though he did say the Doctor had a trustworthy face.
So, Tina and Danny, I want to ask a question that sort of carries over from segment 1, but I want to get from you two. This is a Doctor that neither of you had experienced before. You have not experienced Colin Baker as the 6th Doctor. Giving it a little bit of backup, Colin Baker, the regeneration from Peter Davison into Colin Baker was very rough. As a result, the Doctor came out a little unhinged. One of the first things he tries to do in the first episode is kill his companion he attacks Perry and tries
Strangles.
to...
Strangle would be the word.
He strangles her and tries to kill her. And it's he's a little off. Granted, he stabilizes as it moves on. But how is it... Were you able to see in your mind the Doctor, even though this was written for a Doctor that you had not met or seen?
Yeah, for sure.
And
For sure. It seemed very Doctor Who to me.
In what way? Was he the Doctor for you? I mean...
just real quick, witty.
Yeah, that's the thing about Colin. His Doctor is very verbose. There's a lot of words.
He's
always with the...
Banto points that out.
He's a little pompous, so that actually kind of works out. That makes you think of the Doctor, because sometimes when he's always you have me, I'm the smartest person in the room. And Banter does, say, he's like, I need a thesaurus with you, a dictionary, and I was laughing because I'm like, really, they're not that big of words. Maybe you need to learn. But I found that also how he talked to Mel as well. Like, he didn't really, I don't feel he talked at her. I felt like, it was really his companion. It was someone that he was really good friends with. It's someone that he trusted. And you could tell, like, that's something that you always see with the Doctor when that he has the companion that he's really close to, or he or she. And that, even though you may not know all the answers that, the Doctor may have, but that he or she knows that you're going to get to whatever they've assigned you to do, and that you can do this, and you guys will meet together, and the Doctor's always going to try to, make it work. And
would you say? Go ahead, Mark.
No, I was just going to say, what do you guys think of the Stardust?
When I figured out it was a porta potty, I almost died.
I got to tell you something. Me and my girlfriend, every time we see a porta potty, we're like, "There's a TARDIS. Where's the Doctor?" And I mean, I've been doing this for years, and before I met her. So I mean, this is in the '90s even. And I'm gonna get a little risque here. There is a porn movie called Dr. Lou and the Phalanx, and they use a porta potty as the TARDIS.
Start. That's. Oh gosh! So Late Night Who for anybody?
Late Night Who. Oh, it's really bad. Don't watch that movie. Don't watch that movie. We tried reviewing it. It was not good. Get that Chardonnay out.
Oh god. But I don't know. I thought it was hilarious though. Was that he was like, we researched it, and she's like, it's a portrait. I'm like, oh, it's a toilet. So I'm like, ew.
And when it was dematerializing, the gurgling of the pipes while the TARDIS sound was going.
I think it'd been better if they flushed a toilet, and then that's what made them,
Yeah.
Like the Ministry of Magic.
Well, the problem is, Danny, the sound of a flushing toilet has been taken in Doctor Who by the roar of a Yeti. That is actually what that sound effect comes from.
Yeah.
One of the things I want to point out for a lot of people is the cast. Danny, you picked up on Matt Lucas really quickly. Banto Zane was played by Christopher Biggins. He, has been in everything. He was in the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yes.
And he's been in Poldark. He's been Up One Side and Down 7. He's all over the place. Now, the actress who played Sally Ann, Claire Buckfield, you're going to hear her up and down. She's been used by Big Finish several times in several ranges. This is not the last time you will hear from her.
Okay.
What about Nicholas Pegg?
Nicholas Pegg has been, name it. In Doctor Who. He's been everything from Daleks to name it.
Yeah.
Exterminate.
So I want to spend the last couple minutes. Final thoughts, ladies, Mark. Would you recommend this audio for somebody who had never listened to a Doctor Who audio before?
I'm going to start and say yes. I think that it should be listened to. I'm also going to let you know, when I first got this CD back in 2001, I noticed the last track was 15 minutes long. And I'm like, that's a long episode 4. But, Big Finish sometimes had longer episodes or shorter episodes than the 25-minute random. And so the episode ends, and I'm like, there's still 10 minutes left, and there's silence. And, okay, you know what? I was betting on a bonus track. I didn't get one bonus track. I got 2 bonus tracks on this thing. This was... it was because it was a Christmas episode, so the Doctor and Mel had just celebrated Christmas, and he does the William Hartnell Happy Christmas to all you at home. And then they do, there's another pause for a couple minutes, and then there's more weakest link questions. And it's good to know that Gloria Gaynor is in the Doctor Who universe. It's good to know that. I Will Survive. Definitely. And Robbie Williams III is the Prime Minister's grandson or something. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I thought those jokes were funny, and they just played it. And this is just a funny story. And you're right, it is the basis of The Next Doctor. So if you like The Next Doctor and you want to see something similar but funnier, go for this.
Yep. Danny?
So I would, because I found it kind of interesting, and I think that, as you said before, it kind of correlates to current doctors. So it wasn't a hard sell in understanding that this person is the doctor, even though I've never seen an episode with him in it. Besides, like, the ones that when they do like the specials and it's like the behind the head. But I thought it was really interesting. I think it gives a really nice dichotomy of the doctor and a companion. And I like that it really does allow the companion to shine as well. And why not? It has a really silly, goofy villain that's not really a villain, and then a bunch of other villains that are weirdly villains, but kind of. I'm like, there you go, plot twists and fun. And it's kind of like when you think of like an easy read, it's an easy listen. It's not overly complicated. It's not, you don't really need to know. I like knowing a bit of the backstory of that doctor, but I didn't need it in order to know that this person is the doctor. I know that there's 13, incarnations of the doctor. This guy is definitely one. Sounds like it. He acts like it. And I think it's fun.
And Tina?
I would recommend it to someone who already loves Doctor Who. I wouldn't say it's a good starting point, because I don't think it would make that much sense. But knowing how the Doctor operates already, like, I think it's, even though I personally didn't really enjoy it, I definitely think it's worth hearing, just to kind of get back into that universe a little.
Yeah. And just to piggyback on what you were saying, Tina, and explain it, I think what we're when we're saying recommending to new listeners, if somebody walks up to me and says, Jarrod, what's this Doctor Who thing? My first instinct is never going to be to give them a Big Finish audio. No matter how much they love it, that will never be my first instinct. But if, like Tina said, if they are already a fan and they already know what it is, absolutely 100%. So, Mark, Danny, Tina, the one Doctor, 1 to 10. Mark?
9.
Danny?
7.5.
Tina?
I'm gonna go 3.
Okay. Okay.
Hey, you go, girl. Stick to your gun.
You are the feeblest contestant. Goodbye.
Hey, Mark. No.
I'm going to give it a 10. I'm going to give it a 10 because as a longtime Doctor Who fan, I absolutely loved it. And I loved it because this, for me personally, changed my opinion of Colin.
Oh yes, definitely.
Because I, up until this point, up until listening to this, only had their TV really to go off of. And I was like, I hate them both. They can just go off. But then I was like, I got to the end of the story and I was like, this was great. He was great. She was great. Maybe I was wrong about these characters. So that's why I'm going to give it a little bit of a 9.5, 10, because it was really good.
Cool.
So with that was the one Doctor. Ladies have both survived your first classic series full-length Doctor Who audio story. Yay!
Oh, but guess what? Next week you're gonna have fun, girl.
I know. We're taking the TARDIS. We're going out of the classic series and dropping right into the new series. Listeners, for all of you at home that are following around, our next story that we're going to be reviewing here on Doctor Who Audiophiles is a 10th Doctor story that Doctor Who gave 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
It was recorded a couple years back. It was released as part of the Big Finish 10th Doctor Audio Adventures Part 2, but it is also available as a single release. You can go on to Big Finish's website and buy it on its own. It's a story featuring David Tennant as the Doctor and Billie Piper as Rose, and that is the infamy of the Zeros.
There's someone else in it.
we're you know what, we're not going to go there except for
Spoilers.
Camille Kaduri. We'll say that. Camille Kaduri is Jackie.
Jackie.
Yep. So the 10th Doctor, Rose, Jackie, it's their story. It's a fun little one disc. So the story is 1 hour long. So it's not a 2 hour like time investment. I know that's really hard for some people. But yeah, it's really good.
Can we listen to the promo?
I will add the promo at the end of this. The problem with the promo is not for Infamy of the Zeros only.
Oh, it's for all three.
It's for the entirety of the box set. So it's a little confusing. So after the show is done, I'll tack on the promo for those that want to listen to it. But like I said, it is for the entirety of the box set. So there's elements on the promo that don't exist in the story.
Fantastic. And don't forget, Jarrod, to remind everyone to check us out on Facebook.
On the Facebook?
That's right, Doctor Who Audiophiles. Also on the Twitter.
Yep, we have
on the Twitter.
On the Twitter machine.
At Doctor Who Audio.
That's right. And you can also find us as well. If you're looking for us, you can find us. We're on the Twitter as well.
We're on the Twitter. We're on the Facebook. Go to Odyssey. You'll find us. You will find Mark. Mark is on Mark Who 42, shockingly enough.
Shockingly enough, Mark Who 42. Take it.
You will find me every week on The Seventh Rule with Aaron Eisenberger and Sir Rock Lofton. Sir Rock.
Get his name right.
Is it Sir Lock of the Rock?
Sir Lock of Lofton. And you will find me with Dannie every week on Trek 360. Dannie, you're on Trek 360, and you've got. Well, by the time they're listening to this, by the time they're listening to this, our live show would have been 2 days ago.
The Orville finale of season 2. Yeah.
So that's okay. They can catch it on demand.
Yep. This one will be
on demand.
I will remember to record this one. And Tina, you'll find Tina around on Facebook everywhere. So, Tina, you excited to go for New Series Land next week?
I'm very excited.
It's good. I mean, David sounds amazing in audio, and I think his stories the story that when you listen to it will be a little bit more up your tempo.
I'm sure.
Yep. So with that said, if you have any questions, comments, as Dannie said, find us online on the Twitter, on the Facebook, everywhere. Go listen to an audio. Infamy of the Zeros is next week. Mark, you have anything left?
You know, they should listen to the episode before they listen to us. So go out, get a download. It's not that expensive from Big Finish. Infamy of Zeros.
Yeah, it's like $9 US.
$9, and you can listen to David Tennant, Billy Piper, and Camille Kaduri, and have a blast. And then you can listen and comment on what we talk about. You can comment to us.
And if you have any general Doctor Who audio questions, please send us between myself, Mark, Dannie, Tina, and whoever else is here. We'll find those answers for you.
Yeah, and if you have a question about Infamy of Zeros, totally get in touch with us before next week so we can have it on the show and answer your question on the show.
Yep, absolutely. So for Mark Baumgarten, Dannie, and Tina,